good afternoon when this video goes live in America. Thanks for watching another one of my videos. Today I'm going to do a couple minutes on the Sixers, a couple minutes on the Eagles, a couple minutes on the Phillies. Last video didn't do as well. Maybe my takes on the Eagles isn't as good as the Sixers. Maybe my lack of knowledge of the whole NFL compared to the NBA is maybe lacking. But we'll see. Hopefully time goes on and people will trust or believe in what I say, although I will correct what I said in my last video later in this one. So I will timestamp it at the bottom as well, so you know what to watch if you want to listen to certain parts of my videos. Sorry there's been a delay. I've been on vacation, on holiday, and this is the first time I've had a chance to record it with some computer issues as well. Upgrading my computer, but hence why I've got AirPods in rather than the big headphones I had last time, because I need to change it because I've got a new MacBook and the new ports are USB-C rather than USB, old school USB. So you can see I'm repping Nova, so I'm in the basketball mood, so let's start with basketball. So since I last did a video, and I've spoken to plenty of you guys on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and on 97.5 YouTube, but the James Harden deal's official, 33 mil, player option 35.6 or 36.5, something like that. Great deal. I thought, last time I had it right with the sort of contract terms, the 1 year and the opt-out, but I thought it was late 30s, early 40s rather than the amount it was, so I'm really happy with that. And I think it's a load of crap, to be honest, that the league are investigating us for something about that. For me, it's not. It's ridiculous. I don't get why the league think there's something slightly dodgy, as I'd call it, or a bit corrupt about it compared to anything else that happens in the NBA. LeBron James is kind of, for me, like the number one player GM. He taps people up all the time. I'm sorry, so I think it's a load of rubbish. And PJ Tucker deal and how still being investigated along with that contract that Harden signed, I just don't agree with that. Of course, there was a handshake agreement. Of course, Harden's probably chatted to his mates from Houston and gone, yeah, do you want to come join me? Obviously, where Morey was the GM, then they might think that he's tapped up the players or spoke to the agents before we were legally allowed to in the NBA ruling, but I don't think that's necessarily fully. I think Harden's probably done that. And the contract, yeah, of course Harden's taken money elsewhere. I'm sure there's been some investments from partners of the Sixers and stuff like that. And I think Rubin obviously resigning, and I'm sure he's put some money into I think his wine or whatever he's bringing out, alcohol that he's bringing out. It's just got to play the game. At the end of the day, he's taking a friendly contract for us. He wants to win. Obviously I'm not saying he's in that sort of category, but like Tom Brady-ish, with regards to, Tom Brady can make loads of money of endorsements. Harden knows he can do that. He's got his Adidas shoe deal. He's obviously got his investments. He's not going to be poor by taking 33 million a year rather than 40 odd. But he just made sure he can get his mate in, PJ Tucker, who he has a good relationship with, and I think will be a good vet presence. And obviously brought in someone that he obviously liked potentially, or more he liked in-house. Into the Sixers. So really hopeful. I love the YouTube. YouTube and Twitter. It's all over the place on social media. Obviously, it goes on one platform. It goes everywhere. But I've loved seeing the Harden workouts. I've loved seeing all of that. Today, on the 8th of August, and yesterday, I think, on the 7th, there's been some sort of leaks of him playing against Scotty Barnes. And the big one has been that Scotty Barnes locked him down. But then someone tweeted out the real stats. And I think, I'm going to guess, I don't know, but I'm assuming 20 odd minutes and he dropped 19, 4 assists, no turnovers. So, okay, was he really locked down? And then there's another video of him shooting over other people. So, I'm sure Barnes wasn't locking him down or trying to guard him from the first minute. I'm sure Scotty came in after several minutes and maybe guarded him. So Harden's a bit tired. He's already had a few shots himself. I don't think it means anything, to be honest. Like, yes, you're going to knock people down every now and then if you're a good defender and got a bit about you like Scotty Barnes does. So, Scotty Barnes is a good player, very good player. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NBA. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar. Obviously Raptors picking him as high as they did. I think he is, but I don't think he's going to be, potentially a superstar right now. I don't think he's, if you said to me, I might have my tinted glasses on, but I would say the next sort of superstar, other than Ja Morant, obviously, I think Tyrese Maxey is the one, I think, personally, who's going to be the next big thing. sort of young big thing that's in our sort of division in the East. So yes, when I think about the tampering, I think it's a bit stupid. I think if the NBA do fine us, they've got to then really promise to investigate all those other things that happen with LeBron, with all the other players, and they probably need to look at. I'm sure there's been some agreements with, college players and high school players, with potentially signing for G League teams as well. I'm sure it goes filters all the way down. So I'm sorry, you can't just fine us for that unless it's an outright sort of that no one else does it. I just can't see that. And I know the Bucks got done last year, so there's a chance that it will happen. But yeah, I think it's wrong. Um, so we'll see how that goes. Let's see how that goes. But I will do a reaction video the moment that happens. So AJ Brown video last time didn't do very well. So we're moving on to the Eagles now. So AJ Brown was a great acquisition. I think that he's a top 15 to 12, 11 wide receiver in the NFL. Hopefully becomes a top 10 one with Jalen. Hopefully playing a little bit better and obviously having that elite or potentially elite wide receiver in Devontae Smith on the other side. Great tight end, again, elite tight end in Goddard, and obviously having a great running back in Saunders with that offensive line. There's plenty of opportunities for him to do that. And I'm going to correct myself. I thought he would get marked by the best cornerback, and he will. But he's been doing really well against Slay, and it's been a bit of both. Slay's looked great, so has Bradbury. So both cornerbacks are looking really good, but he's done well against both of them. So I'm actually going to change my thing and say, actually, I think AJ Brown will lead us in targets. I thought Smith would get open up, and I think he will get open up. But AJ, I think those 50-50 ones, you can clearly trust him. He's proven that in the training camp. I love the stupid wigs that they have on. It looks like sort of Queen Guard. So for me, obviously, that's great. Sort of banter from Kelsey and the boys that got that involved. But yeah, I think he's going to lead us in catches now. And I also think that the defensive side of the ball is going to win us a playoff game. I'm going to call it right now. Gannon has no excuses this year. Last year, he clearly wanted to implement something, do some different things. We couldn't quite understand it. Radio, social media, no one was happy with kind of his game plan in certain games. I think this year he's got it. Comment below, who saw that Davis clip? Man, oh man. I know it was against a rookie offensive lineman, but he just manhandled him, man. And I'll say this, in England, we got loads of players that are that size that are probably as strong as NFL players or potentially stronger and potentially fitter for stamina. But we have no one in the UK. And that's what Mailata would probably, sort of be able to elaborate on this. In rugby, you've got players that are that size that can play 80 minutes, but they've got no one that has that speed, that pace, that sort of explosiveness. And I think that's why obviously Mailata had time to adapt to that sort of change of style, but had the strength and the sort of understanding of footwork and hands and stuff, because it's the same, similar with rugby. And no, we didn't have that. Our really quick, fast players or people are Olympians, or they're try and play basketball, or they're obviously soccer players. Best sort of athletes are normally soccer players, because football is the number one sport, and it is a difficult sport to learn because you're using your feet and not your hands. But if you've got the pace and the speed and a bit of strength about you, you can get away with not being as good on the ball. There's players that play in the Premier League and in the Championship, the second division of English football, that probably would be playing a league lower if they didn't have that strength, speed, athleticism that they have. So it's a unique thing for me to see. I love seeing it. I love seeing those sort of tackles because we don't see that in England, and Jordan Davis and, Brandon Graham and all those other guys that are on, Fletcher Cox, all those guys that have got a big body but also got a bit of explosiveness and power. I love it. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I said in my last video, I don't think we've had a linebacker earning millions of pounds. I'm really glad we've invested in that. I'm really looking forward to next season, and I'm calling it now. We will win a playoff game thanks to our defensive side of the ball. I've been keeping an eye on training camp, and they really impressed me. I love Bradbury. I love Slay. And I think we're not gonna get beaten by big plays like we had done when we had Mr. No Green Goblin, who I love. Don't get me wrong, he helped us win a Super Bowl, but Jaden wasn't that guy. He wasn't that guy. So he was good, but not elite. I think Slay is elite. He's a top 10 cornerback in my opinion. And I know Bradbury's had a bit of hit and miss, but I think he's definitely in a probably maybe a 15 to 20, 20 25. He's definitely a legit starting cornerback in the NFL for a decent team that will be in a positive win percentage, like we will be. I think talking of James Bradbury and Slayer, I think that is going to be one of the big stories of the NFL season. I think that they're going to have picks and exceptions. Not everyone is a Diggs type of player that will either get beat or he'll get an interception. That's not what we look. I'm glad that as an the Eagles organization has gone for people that are solid defensively, that aren't just that sort of let's get on Sports Center highlight plays, but can also get beyond there for the wrong end of a highlight play. Those guys don't get beat often, and they're looking good so far. So that's my sort of opinion so far from training camp, is that the defensive side looks great. Jaden's made a few good passes, a few bad ones. That AJ's catching looks great. So let's see how training camp goes and into preseason. But I think defensively at the moment for me looks spot on, and this could be Gannon's chance to get us to a playoff win. And then probably get a job head coach like he was predicted to get last sort of summer before we even hired him. So, 11 and a half minutes in, last couple minutes will be Phillies talk. So, I'm not going to lie, I was a massive Phillies fan back in the day. Like when I first went to Philadelphia in 2010, I came back and I loved Phillies. I got into baseball, got stuck out there. I'll probably go into my story a bit more on YouTube another time, maybe in my next video. But I fell in love with the city, and I went to a baseball game, and I didn't plan to because I was stuck out there for another 8 days, and I loved it, and I loved that team. I could name you the whole team. Um, you know, and my favourite players were Victorino. I loved Cliff Lee. I loved Roy Halladay. I loved Carl Hamels. I loved Chooch. I loved all those players. Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, all those guys. I loved watching them play. I used to stay up all night and watch them. I watched them more probably than I did Sixers at some points. And even that first summer after the Sixers Eddie Jordan era finished, I went to those games, last few games. But then I went to a Phillies game against the Marlins when they were Florida Marlins. And then I just watched all summer. I just watched baseball. I watched Roy Halladay's no-hitter, perfect game. Loved it. Loved it. What I loved was the booth on Sunday. Now, I got given a Pete Rose jersey from my good friend Trav, and I still have it. But I didn't know much about Pete Rose. And I think as a person, he does seem like he's pretty much old school, horrible human being from what I've read about him. Obviously, I don't know fully, and again, I've got to be careful with the American laws. The allegations he's had about that with the child doesn't sound promising, but obviously the ones I know he's been convicted of, with the gambling and stuff like that. So I am disappointed that um, he's like that, but I wasn't alive, but I'm super appreciative of the fact that he helped us win a World Series in 1980. So I'm glad he was honoured and stuff like that by the Phillies, and I hope that um, he doesn't go in the booth again because he did entertain me. Don't get me wrong, because that game was kind of boring. I know the Nationals are absolutely what I'd call pony, trash, but it was good to see us win. Good hits. I love it. I'm really looking forward to us overcoming our bogey team, our sort of team that always just seems to beat us in the Marlins that's coming up series. And I thought it was really good. The 1980, you can tell they're old school. You can tell with the banter that they were giving each other. The one about the one testicle and all the other stuff. Yes, it wasn't great, but I think for me, just hearing that is fantastic. It was like listening to some fans having some banter in their front living room or whatever on their couch and busting each other's balls and that was great to see, and great to see that they obviously had that chemistry, and that's probably key to one of the reasons why they won the World Series, and I think the same team now has that chemistry. I'm not saying they're going to win a World Series, but they've got the chemistry there. You can tell Harper, he recruited, he really brought into the city. So I really think that this Philly team, the core of it anyway, have got potential to lead us to another World Series. Again, my knowledge isn't great with other teams, and I know the Braves are fantastic. I know the Yankees are great. I know the Mets are good, and having Braves and Mets in our division isn't ideal, but is what it is. But I think we are going to be a really, really good, solid team moving forward. It was nice to see Nick get a few hits and a home run, and really take around, especially since that sort of thing with Jim Salisbury. I think Jim was right to ask that. You play in Philadelphia, earn a lot of money. Did you hear the boos? I, I think he could have worded it better, but I don't see the problem with what he did. I don't see a problem with him saying about the booze and then following up with that saying, has it affected you and things like that. And it probably has, but I don't see an issue with him asking that question. Pay me millions of pounds, and if I get booed, you can ask me that question any time. Sorry, millions of dollars, and I'll quite happily answer that question. But it is frustrating, I understand. And the Ben Simmons house curse is hopefully over and done now. So rather than Nick keep hitting, keep firing, keep going. I was scared yesterday when Reese got hit in the wrist. I thought, nah, sorry, I thought it hit his wrist. Thankfully, it hit him like on his bicep or his side. But I was like, no. And then Harper, I love that Harper got stuck in. But yeah, we've got to keep going until Harper gets back. And when Harper gets back, we're going to be even better. So I think this team, the acquisitions we made were great. This team is going to go far. Phillies win a wild card series. I'm calling this. So two big takes for me today. Phillies win a wild card, and the Eagles win a playoff game. Thanks for listening and watching. Again, any comments, any sort of love or hate you want to give, please mention below, and I'll try my best to reply and kind of make this a better sort of setup. I am going to invest heavily into this. I am thinking about starting a GoFundMe, so if I do that, I'll put a link below, because I do want to go to FanFest at 97.5 and try and meet some of the people I haven't met already and just hang around, because I just love Philadelphia. Thanks for watching. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening and the week. Let's go, Phils.